Welcome back to the Years of Making podcast with your hosts,
Lizzie.
and Noah. Today is episode 20 of the podcast, and we have a very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Jonathan Hayes.
This is Jonathan Hayes, and for those of you who may not know, this was our realtor to buy the home that we are currently in.
Yeah.
So we're excited to have Jonathan here because we kind of talked about this during the whole house buying process about how we wanted to get him on here, and he was ecstatic about being on this.
Yeah.
So shout out to me and Lizzie for coming up with the idea to have him on here. I think this is really unique, and this is something we've never done before outside of just having our friends and family members on there. So we're excited, and we're happy. We're happy you're here.
Thank you for having me. I'm trying to keep it cool, but I'm really excited.
We love
If
it.
you see Jonathan jumping up and down, you know what?
I am. I'm really excited. So I've seen maybe 4 or 5 of your videos.
Uh-huh.
I'm a recent subscriber, like this year.
Very good.
But I think you have some great stuff, and I hope I can add to some good content today.
Absolutely. So Jonathan's our 6th official guest, and who better to be on the 20th episode of the podcast? That's amazing. I don't think a lot of podcasts make it to episode 20. So Jonathan, you're in the select few. So today we are hopping on the pod with Jonathan, and we're going to go through some of Jonathan's background, just kind of who he is, and then how we kind of got started with the entire home buying process. So Lizzie and I are going to share the mic today.
Noah's the main leader, but
Anything you got to say, Lizzie?
not yet.
Okay. So Jonathan, if you want to give a short introduction about who you are, and just introduction of Jonathan Hayes. Who's Jonathan Hayes?
Yeah. So my name is Jonathan. I am a real estate agent. That is my full-time job, on top of being a husband and a father to a little girl. So she's about to be a year
Aw.
in April. So it was a big milestone coming up.
Yes.
Grew up locally in the county we're in, and been here my whole life. I don't know anything else that you want to know about me. I feel like we kind of already know each other pretty well, don't we?
I think we do. But the viewers.
Yeah,
viewers,
you're right.
Viewers love to know more about
Viewers.
Jonathan. So growing up, what was kind of your education like? What were your hobbies and kind of your whole family ordinance? Kind of what all went on, growing up and stuff, and how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah. So growing up, I went to BCA here locally, and then actually my last 2 years of high school did ACC, like the dual college kind of
Yep.
thing. I found out that you could basically cut out 2 years of college by
Yeah,
doing that, and
that's
I
what
was
Lizzie did.
sign me up, because I did not like school at all. I did not like
It's
school
free.
at all. So I'm a middle child. So I've got an older sister, younger brother. And a big part of my life growing up was church for us. So we
Mhm.
spent a lot of time at church. My mom worked at the church. I volunteered there. Had a lot of friends that I still talk to because of that. So that was a lot of my childhood growing up. But in terms of hobbies, I was like your basic kid. I like to play sports, like hanging out with friends. I started dating my wife right at the end of high school, so that took up a lot of time there,
I got you.
So, but and we actually met through church as well too,
Okay.
my wife and I. But in terms of hobbies like that, I did like to do music. So I was in the worship band at my church.
Nice.
And I think it's a lot of people that I know are through that.
Yeah.
I mean, and even with you guys, knowing
Yeah.
y'all through Madeline and stuff like that.
Mutuals, yeah.
Mutuals. It's a small county, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like everybody kind of knows
Everyone
everybody.
I
knows each
know,
other.
literally.
You know so many people, and and if you don't know them, you know somebody who knows them.
Through them,
Yep.
literally. It's crazy.
Okay, so how did you, and I know you said you met at church. What year did you and Madeline start piquing interest in each
Uh-oh.
other and start
You
liking each
you
other?
might get me arrested here.
Uh-oh.
We should
Okay.
have had her here to fact check.
Facts. We should have.
Okay. We started dating at the end of 2017.
Okay.
Is when we started dating,
Gotcha.
and I think I was a senior and she was She was maybe a sophomore. Let's say she was a sophomore. I think.
I think that's right.
Is that right?
Because what you were the class of 2018?
I was the class of 2017.
Okay, then
So
she
maybe I
was
out of high school.
Freshman.
Dang, I gotta.
because
have
Madeline was
fact
in my
check me on
class,
this.
so that was class of 2020.
So we're 3 years apart. Yeah, that's
3
right,
years,
3
okay.
years apart. Yeah. So
So she was a fresh.
So maybe she was a sophomore when we started dating, and I had just got out of high school.
Okay.
I think that's what it is. Yeah. Okay, Noah, you're
Uh-oh.
calling me out,
Dude, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I mean,
Madeline, please forgive us.
She was. We didn't even hold hands then, so it's no big deal. Like we just texted.
Yeah. Yep. I can relate. I texted Lizzie on my iPad. So.
Oh, did you really?
I did.
And when he
for
would
a
leave the
long
house, I would get like really upset because he wouldn't have internet, so he couldn't text me.
The iPad. That's wild. Dude, we like back in the day, like we had to like on the DS, like
Dude. Oh my god,
bro! Like, how did we communicate like
Dude.
without having a phone at that point?
I have no idea. Kick,
dude! I forgot about that.
I never even had it, but I heard about it.
Oh, I had it.
I know you
I
had
was
it.
a public school kid. You were a Christian.
Isn't that funny?
I couldn't have Snapchat.
No, me neither.
You mean either, but I snuck and had it.
Did
I
you
got
sneak
in
it?
Big trouble.
Lizzie's a
I was a
Wild
rebel in the
child.
6th grade. That's why. That's why they put me in Christian school.
You were.
I love it.
Were you a rule follower? Like I didn't break. Did you break rules?
I was real follower too.
I was a rule follower. Yeah.
I was a rule follower until I got into public school and
Yeah.
middle school, and then that's why I got pulled out. So,
Mm-hmm.
So
anyways,
engagement. When did y'all get engaged?
2020.
that's good.
We got
Good
engaged.
stuff.
I proposed to Madeline on Thanksgiving Day,
Okay.
Oh,
In
that's
2020.
awesome.
and then we got married almost a year later. We got married October 2021, so we did an 11-month engagement.
Okay.
What date in October?
October 10th.
Oh, okay, it's 3 days after us.
Or the
Nice.
7th.
Oh, okay, y'all are
We're
October.
the 7th.
Oh,
yeah.
cool. And what year? 2020?
2023.
23. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Did y'all do a long engagement?
10 months? Yeah, because you did December
December
of
Yeah, so 10
2022,
months.
and then we got married of October. So 10 months. Yeah.
Just about the same.
So, like,
10 months.
I am a huge fan of long engagement. Like, I'm a huge fan of that.
I couldn't, there's no way I could
Yeah.
get married in a few months. I would be
No.
so stressed out.
I would be, yeah. It was, like, literally ideal for us to do it that
Yeah,
way.
no, same.
Which, and it was also, we could save up money. And, like,
Yeah.
so Madeline, she was in cosmetology school. And I got my real estate license in 2019. When I think back about, like, when we got married, and, like, I even think about going to Madeline's parents and asking for permission to, like, marry her daughter, I'm like, they should have told me no. Like, I'm like, I was literally like, I was like a 21-year-old kid, like with a dream of selling real estate and had like a few closings under my belt. And I'm like, I'm going to provide for your daughter. And they just trusted me with that.
Yeah.
I'm like, if some boy did that to my daughter, I'd be like, ain't no way, Jack, go sell some more houses before you do. You know what I'm saying?
That's a God thing, man.
It's a total God thing. But yeah, we got engaged in 2020, got married in 2021, and then we had our daughter in 2024. Yeah.
In April.
April of 2024. Yeah. And
Congratulations.
dude, it goes by so fast.
I'm sure.
It's like it goes by so quick.
That first year, I bet. Just,
You know, people told us that like the first year of marriage was like the worst year. It was like it was like an amazing year.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
no,
agree.
us too.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like you get to learn how to live with somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
That's like, and like
It's
it
hard.
teaches you
Yeah.
like how you can be kind of selfish.
Yeah.
I think as a person, but like
Yeah.
overall, that was an insane good year for us.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
absolutely.
same. It was just like, wait for it. Like, wait, I guess, like, wait for what? You know what I mean? Like, wait till you
Yes.
hit rock bottom or something?
Yep.
I don't know. It's crazy.
I think having our daughter, that like brought in like a whole new challenge and like a whole new dynamic to our marriage. And that was probably one of the more challenging seasons that we were in.
Hmm.
And like we're not like, we have like disagreements, we have some arguments sometimes, but more like your roles change.
Mm.
And so like you're no longer husband and wife.
Yep.
Now you're mom, dad, husband and wife.
Right.
And I think for me, like it was learning how to put Madeline
Yeah.
as wife and then mom.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you just kind of like, you just like get in the swing of things. Like you just kind of find a
Yep.
rhythm,
Mhm.
and it's easy for it to get kind of mundane.
Yeah.
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 You know, and you just like
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yep.
But I do think about like the season of life y'all are in right now.
Yeah.
Like that's like just the sweetest,
Yeah.
sweetest moments.
Yeah.
And like y'all go travel and you do things and you make
Yeah.
these memories and like that's like, and we still do that too. It's just with the baby, it's a whole different dynamic. You know?
We talk about that all the time. It's like, I mean, when the time comes, like prioritizing, like, okay, you know, don't get those. Like you said, keep them separate.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a detour here.
Yeah.
Real estate. So tell us how you got started with real estate, and then through that, after you take a sip, explain.
It's Coke Zero, y'all.
It's Coke Zero. Thank you.
It's Coke Zero.
I keep getting Universal Koozie. I'm trying to like sneak it off camera, but that makes it worse.
Crazy. If you want to talk about how you got started in real estate, as well as like the schooling behind it and the licensing, because we haven't really talked to you about the back work you have to do to get to where you are today.
Yeah. So I did not know what I wanted to do with my life.
Okay.
At like 18, I graduated high school and I had an associate's degree.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think like in my mind I kind of thought through like, and maybe you were like this too, Lizzie, but like now I only have 2 years of college left as opposed to having four and kind of having 2 extra years to figure out what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being an 18-year-old and being like terrified that like I was going to choose the wrong degree and ruin my life. Anyways, I was working at church and I was getting a degree in ministerial leadership. I was online, I was working, and so it was like a seminary, like a Bible school.
Right.
I got that degree, and then I got a new job as like a manager of this store. It was a really good job, but it was the same thing every single day.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I remember just like, and y'all know me, like I'm pretty extroverted and I like to do new things. And so I remember like clearly like just praying like, God, like what do you have for my life? Like what do you want me to do? Because like I know that like I can do what I'm doing now, but I feel like I'm not living up to my full potential, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I have more to give.
Right.
I was at this store working, and I felt like just clearly heard the Lord whisper real estate. I have an aunt who is in the real estate industry. And then my grandmother, she had her real estate license and sold like maybe 1 or 2 houses, not a lot of houses, but she sold a couple of houses.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the only people that I knew who were realtors. And I knew one other lady that was an actual realtor. And so I was like, okay, so like, let me figure out like how this works. So I figured out kind of like what I had to do for school. And then I went to these couple of people that knew me and I was like, I'm thinking about doing this. Like, what do you think? And they were like, I think you would be good at it. Like, I think you should give it a shot. I quit my job completely. I had $8,000 that I had saved in a bank account. Now I was still living at home at the time, but I completely quit my job and I was like, I'm going to go get my real estate license and I'm going to sell real estate.
Wow.
When I think back to that, I'm like, dude, like, John, were you so dumb? But then again, I think that's just like complete trust.
Yes.
That God was going to, like, that I heard what God wanted me to do and I did it.
Awesome.
So at the time, and it's changed so much because I got licensed in 2019. When COVID came, they did a lot of stuff like now it could be online, but a lot of things were just in person. It was a 6-week class. I went to Greensboro 2 days a week.
Okay.
And it was full 2 days. And basically the way that it works is you go for 6 weeks and you take a class test. If you pass the class test, then you go to another place, like another county, and take the actual state test. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you have to pass the class
in order
test
to get to that
first
next point. Yeah.
in order to take the test at the state.
Gotcha.
If you got 2 tries on the class test, if you failed them both, you had to restart the class to 6 weeks and do it all over again.
Wow.
So again, y'all, like I quit my job. So I was like, and I was not a great student. Like I was not a good test taker. I was like, I listened but like I never was good at like taking tests or whatever. Yeah. So I got to take the test and I failed the first time. I was like, oh my goodness, pressure's on. Went to take it the second time and I passed it. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. I was like, thank you, Lord. Okay.
That's That's a sneak peek to his worshiping at church.
The vibrato.
That's crazy.
So you pass that test. Well, then you go and take the state test, and it's 2 sections. It's a national section, and then it's a state section. The national was like a lot more questions. The state was a lot fewer. You had to pass them both. If you didn't pass them both, you had to wait 2 weeks and retake it. And you had to pay the full amount every time. It was like $300.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was like $300 every time, or whatever it was, $200, $300. So I go the first time, passed the national, but I failed the state.
Oh.
It's like, bummer. And it tells you how many you missed it by. I think it's like 40 questions, and I missed it by like 5 or something.
Oh.
So waited 2 weeks, go and take it the next time. I failed it again, missed it by 1 question. So then I waited 2 more weeks, took it again, I missed it by 3 questions.
No way.
I failed 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
I will say this: if anybody watches this video and is like, I want to call Jonathan to help me buy or sell a house, don't judge me off of my test taking abilities. I'm far better at a realtor than I am a test taker. I can assure you of that. I am a terrible test taker. Anyways, 3rd time I went, I was like, I failed it by I missed it by more that time. So I went to the guy who taught my class, and I paid him like some money to tutor me for like an hour. Went back the next time and I passed it. I was like, thank you, Lord. Like, now that testing, it's all done. It's all behind you. Like, you don't ever have to test or take tests to pass to keep your license anymore. And so that was kind of how I got my license.
Wow. That's awesome.
I mean, I've heard that the real estate test is like super hard. On a scale of like 1 to 10, how hard do you think it is?
That joker was like a 10 for me. That thing was hard to take.
I've heard it's really hard. That's why we wanted to ask you.
Here's
your experience with it.
This is the best way I know how to describe it. They will give you a question, multiple choice, and it will say, choose the best answer.
Oh
no, that's the worst.
So, dude, you're reading it, and it's like these 3 could totally make sense.
Yes.
Right.
That's why that thing is so daggone hard. It's
Yeah.
because it's like you have to choose the best one or whatever.
No, that's
I'm like, can you
worst.
imagine? Like, I'm telling you, I am so glad that I do not have to go do that again.
Right.
That is the worst part. Like, I know realtors though that like took it first try, passed the class first time, passed the test first time, they were done. That would probably been both of y'all. Y'all would have probably passed it.
I'm a terrible test taker. I have test anxiety.
Like my buddy, he did it first time,
No.
like nothing. I'm like, it took me 4.
Yes,
I know people who took it like
10.
6 times.
Yes.
Like legit.
Literally.
Like legit. So, but it's done. It's in the past. We can move on.
That's right. That's right.
That's a crazy story. Was it the same? Every time you took the test, was it the same questions, or they switch them up?
4 times in, they eventually repeat them.
That makes sense. Well, duh.
I'm like, I see. But the thing is, you don't know what the answers are.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So like, they don't tell you what they
Oh
don't.
no!
So
Yeah.
you see the same question, and I'm thinking to myself, like, that's what messes with your mind.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
because you're like, okay, was this one of the ones that I missed?
Mhm.
Because like I remember what I answered, but like that when I went to go do tutoring, I had like the guy that taught my class, he actually helped like write some of those questions.
Okay.
So like I had asked him, he's like a brilliant, like he like because it's written by like the test is written by like lawyers, like real estate lawyers basically. And so I was able to like remember some of the questions, and he was like, oh yeah, it's like this or this or this, and it made sense. He like made it make sense in my brain. I was like, okay, and that's what I passed.
Did the questions like build off each other? Like, for example, like if you got one wrong and like you thought it was this answer, and then like you came to another question, and like if you didn't know that other question, you would just get this wrong. Like, do they build off each other, or like they're just like all over the place?
All over the place.
Okay,
they're all over the place.
that sounds terrible.
And it's but like the hardest part is the state, because like real estate's different state to state.
Yeah.
The national was like you could miss more, but the state's only like 40 questions, so you couldn't miss as many.
Right. Oh,
I think that's why it was so tough.
Yeah.
I hated that test.
Well, look at you now.
You would have nightmares about this.
I know y'all are honestly bringing back PTSD.
I'm so sorry.
They
They have to know.
I'm bringing back my PTSD from
Test taking.
switching majors. So.
Oh, I got you.
Okay.
Well, now I would like to kind of talk about our home buying situation. We can just kind of start off with we had the whole last episode just kind of explaining kind of why we wanted to move.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think now we know more realtors than we did back at that time. But like,
we were talking about the other day, like,
I don't know how it came about to like choose you. It was just like always a thing in the back of my mind.
It's like, where did you pick Jonathan from? I was like, I don't know.
I've never talked to him in my life, and then like just because of mutual friends and Madeline and stuff like that, like I've always had you in the back of my mind as like who I wanted to use, even though I never like
I don't think we even had a
expressed
conversation.
that to Lizzie.
No, we
or
didn't
anyone.
have a conversation. Like, you know, like Jonathan, like we're just teaching me. Like we didn't
We
really
were just
talk
like,
about
Jonathan.
it. It was just like a thing.
Yeah, we didn't have a discussion. It was just like
Yes, Jonathan.
we know exactly who we're going to use.
So funny story. If I can share this, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So, you know, like I have like a website, and most of the time, random people will get on my website, and it's like people who want me to call them on their WhatsApp number, and like they're like scams. Well, I get this message from Lizzie Robinson at something gmail.com or whatever your email address was, you know, and I'm like, that is weird. And I think you had said something like you wanted to go see this certain house or whatever, and I was like, I don't know if I want to respond to that. Like, I think this might be a scam. Then Noah called me, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I put two and two together. Yeah. So, like, I almost, like, you know, cause you have to be careful because people will try to scam you all the time.
Yeah. Well, for us, we didn't know any realtors. Like, we don't have any realtors in our family. Well, we
know that we do now.
We didn't.
We didn't even think about, like, realty as a whole.
Yeah, like we didn't know
until we started looking.
So we looked on Zillow like every day. So we sign up. This was like the worst mistake ever for people that's buying for a home. I signed up for a tour through Zillow.
Yeah.
So I'm getting calls probably 3 times a day from Zillow. It's like, are you still interested in this house? So I don't know. Don't do that.
Yeah, but
contact an actual realtor. Don't contact Zillow.
Oh, absolutely.
That was the worst mistake ever.
Like we didn't discuss it at all, but I was just like, okay, we know Jonathan is who we want to use, even though I've never talked to him or met him ever, just like through mutuals. Funny. So, like Jonathan said, Lizzie like did something through your website, and then I was just like, I'm gonna go ahead and call him just to get in contact with him, and I just kind of explained our situation and. We were able to tour that first home together.
It stunk.
It smelled.
Okay. Listen.
It did stunk. It did stink.
It stank.
Like it stank in multiple ways because we didn't choose it.
What we really like about Jonathan is he's brutally honest. Like in a good way. Like there's some things like that first house, like the noises.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I wasn't going to say that because I wasn't trying to be mean. And then we come inside, and you said it. He was like, whatever. It was like super loud. I'm like, okay, well, I thought that. So Jonathan's brutally honest, which is good. Like, you want that. You know what I mean? It's because it's like, am I crazy? Or like, I want to hear that. You know what I mean? So it was hilarious.
So the process kind of started with me calling Jonathan. We went to that first visit. We decided against that home, but Jonathan was like, okay, let's grab some coffee and kind of discuss, what first time home buying looks like. And that meeting really helped me and Lizzie.
That was like the most helpful thing ever.
Yes, it was
I'm glad that y'all like that.
Yeah, it really helped us out to be able to understand because obviously we're new to the home buying and we didn't really understand much of anything, but you kind of dumbed it down for us to understand, and that was like helpful throughout the entire process. So definitely a recommendation. Like I'm sure you do that with your other, customers, but that really, really helped us.
That was very helpful.
Yeah. It's like a first time buyer home consult, basically.
Yeah.
Because I think this people want to buy real estate. I think you see like your parents have bought real estate and like you realize like that's probably a good thing, a good chapter. Like, you get married, you buy a house, you kind of like create some wealth for yourself.
Yeah.
But how exactly does that happen?
Right.
And so I have found like by doing that, and I told you guys this when I started, real estate was kind of different when I started versus when you guys bought. But everything moved so quickly.
Yep.
Right.
When we sat down and had coffee and we talked for an hour and a half, and we talked for a long time. I used to do that same thing, but in 10 minutes in a driveway with a client, basically saying, if you want this house, you have to buy it now.
Yeah.
And so I think for my business, I found value in that
Yeah.
because when we do find the house, it's no longer like, oh my goodness, I'm in complete panic mode. I like this house,
Exactly.
but I want to buy it. I don't know.
Mhm.
Like you're far more prepared. But the thing is, you still forget some of the things that I said,
Yeah.
and we still kind of learn it again
As
together.
you-
If
yeah,
that makes
as you
sense.
go.
I try to
Yeah.
explain it as we go along.
Yeah. I think for us, what the most shocking thing for us is like we were freaking out. We were like, okay, we're gonna have to put. I don't know. It's just like the most stereotypical thing is like you have to put 20% down.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Right.
So, because on Zillow, it's like it tells you the price, and then it's like, okay, this is what you're gonna pay if you do 20%. It's
Mhm.
just like the most like automatic thing. So we're like, we don't have to pay that.
Mhm.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't. Maybe that's something
Yeah.
we should have known, but
Yeah.
I didn't know
I
that.
don't think it's common knowledge.
No,
really.
I mean it's just like I guess it's
Just a
just is it the
stereotype.
It's a total stereotype.
yeah,
Mhm.
and we were told that we were like, that's amazing. So yeah,
It's a myth. Yeah, it's not fact.
yeah,
You know, and
Yeah.
honestly, the truth, the fact of the matter is, first time home buyers a lot of times don't have to put any money down,
yeah,
and
Yeah.
that's a big
Yeah.
because not everybody has what is that $40,000-$50,000
Exactly.
saved to
Yep.
go and put 20%. That's a lot of money for
Yep.
somebody who's just starting out
Not
their
even
life.
closing costs. Yeah,
And then then you have closing costs on top of that,
Mhm.
and then you have inspections, and you have all these things, and
Mm-hmm.
it can be really expensive if you're under the idea of I've got to put 20% down on a house.
Right.
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
So the next steps after we met with him, we went and toured one other home, and we didn't end up choosing that one for some other reasons as well.
We went to that open house. And then we met him at
and
the
then we
other
met him
one.
that same
Yeah.
day. So after those few home visits, we kept looking on Zillow, didn't end up finding anything. But eventually we got to the point where that story from the last episode kind of came into play, and it was kind of like we found this information out on Monday, and we needed to, if we wanted this house, we needed to put in an offer like Thursday or Friday. So I know
That was so stressful.
I know this for you was stressful. You probably wouldn't say that because you know you're nice and stuff. But like we brought this home to Jonathan. Jonathan had never seen it, didn't know anything about the home, couldn't tour the home, and we're like, Jonathan, we're pretty serious about this home, and it's the point where we need to make a decision now, and I think we want to go ahead and make that decision. And it needs to be decided by like this Thursday or Friday, like
tomorrow.
3 or 4 days, like into the week. And Jonathan, we're sorry we put you through that, but look
Probably
at us
took
now.
years off your
Weren't
life.
y'all going out of town too? Like,
Yes,
right?
we
Yes.
were going on like a
That-
12-day cruise.
That's why, yeah. We were like, okay, we have to decide before we leave for this cruise, or we won't even be able to have conversation.
Because we'll be in the middle of the ocean. So it was like
It was
whole
like
thing.
do or die. You got to do it now, or you don't do it at all. But look at us now. We're in here.
We're like on a cruise ship buying a house.
For real.
Jonathan, we're sorry for
Taking years off your life.
stressing
I
you
think
out.
like for me,
It was unique. It was very unique.
well,
circumstance.
yeah, especially for you being a first time home buyer, because like the thought of you guys really only looking at like what was that 4 homes?
4 homes. Yep.
Mhm.
That's pretty rare. I mean,
Right.
especially for like usually a first time home buyer is like they're closer to the 8 to 12 kind of range.
Yep.
You know, like
Really?
they need to like
Yeah.
they need to kind of see like what's out there, location, like that kind of stuff. No, when you called me and you were like, yeah, so we found this house off market, you know, where you really want to buy it. I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay.
Here we go.
I'm like, I haven't seen it. Yeah, I can't
Right,
be like
right.
Lizzie says, brutally honest about this one.
Yeah.
But you picked a gem. I mean, you picked a great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was a total God thing how it all
Oh
worked.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it really was.
And then for it to be off market too,
Yeah, perfect.
really kind of sweetened the deal in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the appraisal gap.
Yeah, so
Oh yeah.
once we, got the go ahead with Jonathan, they already had the sellers already had a realtor they were working with, so it was able to kind of everything would go through Jonathan and their realtor, which made the process so much smoother rather than us having to go directly to them. And from there, several things came into play. I mean, I don't think we need to go into detail about every single thing
No.
that went into play. But we had a inspection. The inspection went really well.
Yeah.
The only issue that we had was the appraisal came like 5 figures below what we offered, which kind of made things harder to negotiate. I know Jonathan was shivering in his timbers at that time.
I was like cool as a cucumber.
Everything was going smoothly, and then that appraisal happened. It was like, God, what are we doing here? And thankfully, it was able to be reappraised. And the God thing was, when it was reappraised, it was the exact amount we originally offered, which is exactly what we wanted to pay for the home.
That's the God thing.
Yeah, which was really, really cool.
Which is really rare also, by the way.
Yes.
For an appraisal to
go up that much.
Yeah.
After it's appraised, twice. And I mean, we had everything went, according to plan, obviously, besides that. So through the inspection, the appraisal, we got to the closing date, and I loved the way they kind of helped us through all the paperwork. I mean, I thought it was going to be like hours and hours of terrible stuff, but they were like, okay, this is what this is. Sign here, sign here. And so smooth. I mean, that is exactly how I would do it if I were to run that company. That is awesome, and you should be proud to work with somebody that makes it so simple.
They do a really good job.
Yeah, they really do.
They do it like they do about 80-ish% of my closings each year.
Right.
They like Madeline and I use them as our so I mean it's like I felt like they did a good job. Do you guys remember whose name was spelled wrong? Wasn't one of your names spelled wrong? We had to wait forever to get.
Okay, so it was something because mom was with us.
Okay.
So it was like mom's name wasn't on the document that it needed to be on.
That's right.
So it was like 4:00 anyway. So they were waiting for them to send whatever, like our lending company to send the law office another document with her name on it that wasn't on there or something.
Yeah.
So at that point we didn't get the keys because it was just like near 5:00.
I felt so bad. I was like, oh.
No, it's all good.
No.
Did you have them the next day, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got them like the next morning,
day.
like 9 or 10. Like it was super early. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about in the old episode, like the last episode, like we really saw the potential in this home, and we knew, that once we got in here and did, our maintenance, got everything done that we needed to get done, we knew it would be a completely different home, new home, and that's exactly what it feels like. Even like Jonathan coming in here the first time tonight, he was just astonished at how great it looks, and that's all thanks to people being able to help us out and put in the work that needed to be done. And a house doesn't look as good when it's empty. Once you put all your stuff in there, it just feels more like home. Yeah.
But for us, it was more cosmetic stuff. It wasn't like we had termites or something crazy. You know what I mean? Like the inspection came back. That's what sucked though, is that we were like, we're gonna wait for the inspection to come back good before we tell people. So the inspection came back perfect, and then we told everyone we bought a house.
Yes.
Because
we thought we were in the clear.
We were like,
really did.
We're in the clear. This came back perfect. We're good. And then that happened. We were like, we're not going to be able to buy this house. We're not. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
But it ended up working out. So that's all that matters. But
I think that in every real estate transaction, there's always a little bit of like we got to something you don't know is going to happen.
Right.
And then, it happens and you try to find a solution. And most of the time, you can work it out.
There were a few of those too. Like a few things, like a little bit of, along the way, kind of like
some waves.
Yeah, a little bit of going off the path for a second.
Man.
But that's just how it is. I mean, and, once
Jonathan has crazy problem solving skills.
Yeah.
Well, I think for me, it's like you take a buyer and you take a seller, and they both have the same goal, to buy a house and to sell a house.
Right.
And I think what can happen is I think that sometimes people can get emotional in it because you're dealing with money.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. I mean, you need money. And so like for y'all's instance, it's like, okay, well, the appraisal was here and we're here. How do we get here? You know, and it's like kind of like just figuring out where you can give and take some.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think more than like, I think it goes back to just like being like reasonable. Like you just need, like, if you can just have people see reason.
Both sides, yeah.
And y'all were like, I will say, y'all were so. If y'all were freaking out, I never knew. Like I was like, y'all seemed as cool as cucumbers. like y'all were just like, look, Jonathan, do what you got to do. Let's see what we can do and keep us posted. And I'm like, okay, give me like a couple of days and let me see what we can do. And we got it. It was great.
Just
And
let
y'all
him
were.
cook. Let Jonathan cook, bro.
I don't know about that, bro. That might be giving me too much credit, but I love it. That's hilarious. But no, I mean, y'all handled it. I feel like y'all handled it really, really well because it is stressful because, you've got money on a line and you don't want to walk away from something. And then you get attached to it and you drive by it later and you're like, this is where our new house is going to be and all the fun things.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, you don't miss those 30 days when you're trying to buy a house. Like those could be some stressful times for sure.
Absolutely not.
Those can be some stressful times. When you move in, you're like, great, it was worth it, but let's not go back.
Yeah, literally, yes.
Can you think of anything else amongst the home buying we didn't speak about? I mean, in that kind of section?
I don't think so.
Any other roadblocks you had to deal with, Jonathan?
I mean, like, honestly, except for an appraisal, y'all had a pretty smooth. Like it wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't. It was. I think it was. I mean, it was super smooth. Other than that,
remember? Well, I guess we can about the whole lender situation. About
I
don't know if you want to talk about that or not.
Yeah, I remember it.
Now that freaked me out, Noah.
Yeah.
That one, I will say, that one kind of rattled me a little bit. I was like, okay, like what's going on?
Yeah, we can keep that off the internet, but
dude, I forgot about that.
Just know that something else happened, but we sat back, let Jonathan cook, and look at us now.
We lost a little sleep at night because of that one.
Yeah, but we're here. That's all that matters.
False accusations. Anyways,
that's so funny.
I love it. Well, that's kind of how the process went of us contacting Jonathan to meeting him and touring homes with him, and then being able to eventually help us to get where we are today, and get through the closing and the appraisal and inspection. I mean, there's no way we would have done it without you.
No way. There's no way I would have ever tried to do any of that without a realtor. No way.
And specifically you, because you're personable. We get along well with you, and you know your stuff. Even though you're young, which could be a downside to some people, just because you're young doesn't mean you're not learning and you don't know your stuff. I mean, you really impressed us, and we thought you did an amazing job, and we'll definitely choose you and recommend you over and over again.
Oh, thank y'all so much.
You're so welcome.
Y'all are fantastic to work with, and I'm so glad that I was able to play a part in helping you get home.
Yay!
Well, now I would like to kind of streamline things of your real estate specifically, and how your Christian faith is kind of involved in how you hold yourself as a realtor, if you understand, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. That's a great question. So it's funny because, before real estate, I was in ministry, and I knew like I wanted to be around people, like I wanted to minister and be around people. And when I kind of left like church ministry, being like employed, I had a couple of people who were close to me were like, you're running from God, or, you need to like get back into working at a church. And I remember thinking later, maybe a year later in the business, I was like, ministry is honestly where people are. It had to be at a church.
Correct.
It's really anywhere.
Yep. Yeah. That's right.
And what better place to minister to somebody than in what could be a pretty stressful time? A lot of unknown, know? So what I have kind of like really appreciated about being a realtor is that I have the ability to run my business the way that I want to.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is going to be a Christ-centered business.
Yep.
Meaning that, we're not going to do things that are unethical.
Yeah.
We're going to treat people kindly.
Yep.
We're going to pray with clients if they let us.
Yep.
I can't tell you guys how many times I've sat at a dinner table with a seller or at a showing with a buyer and just said, God, like, we're just giving this to you. Yeah. Like your will be done. Like, we need to pray through this.
Yeah.
And so I think for me personally, that's been a huge thing
mm-hmm.
To implement into my business, and just to know that Christ is going to be magnified. I mean, it's no secret that in my industry, there are people that are out for money. There's greed, and there's lying, and there's a lot of stuff, you know? And so, I was very clear with my wife, like from the get-go, that I'm going to run my business differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if it means that I lose business, then I lose business.
Yeah.
But, sorry, I thought someone was coming in the back
Me
door
too. I
for
think
a second.
it's a win.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I heard it in the front door too.
I'm not going to lie, I was about to run. I was about to
Crazy.
The bar's in the door too. So
Not that I'm
We're
feeling safe. I'm just
We're
like,
good.
I'm like, all right, somebody coming in the door. Like, we got to go.
let's get the baseball bat.
Crazy.
Anyways, I kind of forgot where I was at, and I'm sorry, but
No.
does that answer kind of the
Oh
question?
yeah, absolutely. It's good to be, in any space. You can be a minister. You don't have to be
Yes,
called
yeah,
to
man.
the mission field. Like you can be, you can be Christ-like in any, sort of situation, any job. But specifically for you, obviously, are set apart from people that are greedy or wanting, money and things like that. And that's the best way to do things in any sort of occupation. Absolutely. So, Jonathan, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
Do you? Okay, Jonathan, what is your kind of sales pitch, so to say? Like, if somebody were debating, you and another realtor, what would you say that kind of sets you apart as a realtor, and what gives you the upper hand compared to any other realtor in the realty business?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a lot of realtors out there. It's a very competitive business. And I think that there are some buyers out there who would probably want to use a different realtor. They may not like the way that I run my business and do things. I think one thing that I have going for me is, you mentioned it earlier. I am definitely younger. I'm younger, and there are realtors that are a lot older than me. Some that have more experience than me, and some that aren't. But with being younger, I have a lot of grit, a lot of determination.
Yeah.
We're on a single income in my house. My wife's a stay-at-home mom, and so that's something that fuels me every day to go out and to get more business.
Yep.
So number one, just I think a lot of determination there, and drive. Secondly, I feel like I'm a really good negotiator.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what I've learned is probably a really good component to have in a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
Is you want somebody that's going to go to bat for you and do everything they can to get you what you need.
Yeah.
Right.
So that, and then I'm good at social media too, and that's like especially on the listing side of things. So much in marketing is now driven to social media.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes.
And so like I do a lot of video and stuff on advertising and I creative and different ways to kind of not only like grow my business and my brand, but also to grow my audience to where when I do list a house, it's seen by more eyes.
True.
And so those are a couple of like the main things for me that I feel like has been a success in my business growing.
Yeah.
And, I think just with being younger, you have to kind of prove yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I'm so thankful like to those first handful of clients that gave me a chance.
Yep.
Like that's like I've got like I guess you're not supposed to have favorite clients. I do.
Thank you.
But like like those first couple of people that like really just took a chance.
Yep.
Like just took a chance. Like just gave me a shot.
Yeah.
Like
awesome.
My goodness, just to give me some credibility. I was thinking about that the other day, just like how thankful I am for that. But yeah, I mean, I think just those things, and then also just communicating. I hope that I communicated well with you guys. I try to over communicate as much as possible.
Yeah.
Like you're going to hear from me multiple times throughout the week. And even if there's no update, I'm still, hey, just checking in. Here's what's going on, or nothing new on the horizon right now. But I think those are kind of some of my attributes that I feel like make me a good realtor and make me a good choice. But I think that if you are looking to buy, if you're looking to sell, and multiple realtors, I think that you should absolutely interview multiple realtors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
I mean, like I know somebody the other day who said, I know so many realtors, I'm going to use somebody that I don't know. And I'm like, that don't make any sense to me. Like, interview the ones you do know, and then whichever one makes the most sense, then do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you kind of have to have thick skin in this business.
You do. Yeah.
I mean, you're going to see people that use other realtors, and that's just life, and that's what happens. And I try to grow from it and, move on and say, hey, what can I do? What could I have done better to earn your business?
Right.
Or, that's kind of the route that I take instead of just sitting there and being like, woe is me. And, nobody likes me. That gets you nowhere. So,
yeah, that's very true. Well, I think you're really set apart from all other competition, Jonathan.
You really think that, Noah?
I really think that.
Noah's like, okay,
so
if you're
kind.
ever feeling let down, just like call Noah.
He's going to gas me up.
Motivational
Your
speaker here.
personal guide.
Crazy.
That's so funny. That's so nice. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Jonathan, what is your advice for first-time homebuyers?
Yeah. Meet with a realtor first. I feel like you guys did it really, really well.
Okay.
So I think a lot of times what people do is they think, I want to buy a house. Some people will go and meet with the lender first, and get like their financial, like all that stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people will say like, I want to buy a house. They see a house, they call a realtor. I want to go see this house.
Mm.
And that's not a bad thing at all. And that's what I did with you guys. And that's what I did with a lot of first time home buyers. But I think like that meeting with, a realtor first, like if you called me and said, hey John, like I want to go, like I want to buy a house, or like I don't know where to start. To me, like that's ideal because I can help coach and educate and get you into the right direction. And then one thing that like I feel like I can do well is connect you with the right people, if that makes sense. Yeah. So where the process of buying a home that seems like impossible, to break it up into small steps that make it so doable.
Yeah.
So that would definitely be something that I would say is, a big first step is probably meeting with a realtor. And I would also say like being smart financially, saving money. It is not cheap to buy a house. No. It costs money, and it costs thousands of dollars. It doesn't have to cost $50,000, but it very well could cost $10,000. And so saving up money, and you guys have just kind of walked through this where you've fixed up your house. It's like you use money to buy the house and then use money to fix up the house. And it's a little bit expensive at first. Yes. A great financial decision that you'll be so thankful that you did as you're building equity, as you've already built equity in your home, because we could sell your home for a lot more than you bought it for at this point, just in what you've done inside. You've made it so nice. And it's just beautiful. But saving money and being smart financially. Yeah. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, it is. Definitely. Jonathan, I've truly enjoyed this. We're so honored to have you on.
Bucket list for me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I love it.
I love that.
Bucket list. Maybe you'll have me back. Who knows?
Maybe.
Got to.
Maybe Jonathan and
featuring Madeline and Melody.
Yes. Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Collab. Collision of worlds.
Would that be the most people we had on podcast? No. Wait.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
Y'all are great. You ask really good questions.
Thank you. I put this together at dinner time.
I kind of feel like I needed to ask y'all questions because I feel bad. Like,
ask us questions. You got anything?
I
was about to ask you if you have any questions for us.
This is a podcast about Jonathan.
You never know. I wait till the end to ask our guests if they have questions about.
I've got one.
You've got a question, okay?
You're on a stranded island. Okay.
Okay.
You don't know how long you're going to be there.
Okay.
It could be a day. It could be 10 years.
Okay.
You get 3 items. What are you bringing?
Great question.
You have 5 seconds to answer. Everything you love blows up. I'm thinking
you're crazy.
Things? Could that include people?
No.
Could that include animals?
No.
That's living.
You said people.
It's like physical things.
Noah.
Okay. Well, I need to put my 3 together and then I'll answer. I think that's the best way to go about it.
Phone?
Well, yes, phone's on there for me.
Charger?
Ooh.
Portable charger. Phone, portable charger.
That was my 2 too. Not to say I'm addicted to my phone or anything,
but like
you can use your phone.
But what would the third one be?
For anything, I would say some sort of.
But what if you can't get service? You're taking a risk there. So you got a phone.
You're crazy.
Did you say a phone? Dude, this is.
I'm putting the phone, assuming I can use like my Bible app too. But like you said, there may not be service. So my third thing would need to be something to keep me like busy, like some sort of activity, for example, that ring toss thing we saw at the Wilds, where you
Noah would just bring
something just to have fun, like
you would be so good at that game.
Noah
I
would bring
am.
telestrations on the stranded
And play with
island.
myself.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm gonna say phone charger, assuming that there is a connection. Jonathan, don't throw us to a loop so far.
No. Yeah.
And then something to keep, something to enjoy myself, some sort of activity like that little ring toss game, or like, I don't know,
Okay.
something I can play by myself, not like a 2-person board game. Lizzie, you got anything?
I was gonna say, yeah, something. Like
What would your third thing be?
A coloring book.
But then you don't have any crayon or pencils.
You
3
make them
things is very tough.
It's tough. Okay.
It's really tough.
So I'm tracking with you guys, but I'm like you. I would want my phone, like take the chance that I would have some service and could call and get help. Because if you can I guess you could get rescued because you don't know how long you're going to be there. You know? But y'all are like the scuba diver masks and the flippers, like that set. That would be fun to do, like around the island.
Yeah.
Did y'all go scuba diving on your cruise? Did y'all do that?
We
didn't
did
go scuba diving. We went
snorkeling.
Because
That's what I mean, snorkeling.
Yeah.
Scuba diving freaks me out.
Scuba diving's where you like
have the whole
go
cage.
under
Yeah,
water.
snorkeling.
We went not on this cruise, but on a past one.
Good question.
That was really good.
Could you imagine?
Was that off the dome?
That was just completely off the dome, dude.
I love it. What are you laughing at?
I'm sorry.
Okay, Jonathan, I'm going to open the door. Any more questions? And think about it. You can think until the next podcast we do with you in the future, and then you can ask those questions.
Let's do it like that.
Let's do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some. I'm gonna have some good questions.
Great questions. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some good questions.
I believe you, Lizzie. Anything else you have?
I don't think so.
While we have this
I don't think so.
person here,
do you have any more questions?
I do not. Jonathan, anything else for us, my friend?
Man, thank y'all so much for having me.
It's
on
been
the
so fun.
You're so welcome. Bucket list.
20th episode is like
that's monumental, bro.
Like that might be. It's like getting married, having my daughter, accepting Christ into my heart. 20th episode of Years in the Making podcast.
That is amazing.
It is right there for me.
You're crazy.
I hope I did okay.
You did fantastic.
Because I was definitely a little bit nervous.
You're a great speaker.
Yes.
Well,
you cared.
y'all also really hyped me up.
So. We did. Well, Jonathan, appreciate you
Hopping
on the pod with us.
High five.
I thought it was about to be an air file.
Aaron? Okay. Whatever.
Anyways.
That just made me think of Aaron.
Awkward. Anyways, well, Jonathan, we appreciate you hopping on the podcast, and we would love to have you and your wife back on maybe in the future.
That'd be fun.
But yeah, we ain't got nothing else for you guys, so we would just like to say you guys have an amazing day, and if you save your money, you can buy a house.
Yeah.
All right. Peace out. Boom.